Hey there, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whichever you're watching this from. And this is going to be a small talk on keeping your mind busy. So, what I found that uh, keeping your mind busy does is that it prevents you normally from doing things that you would normally regret or act out of urges or, inner desires or somewhat, somewhat, instincts or tendencies that you've developed over time which are known to be unhealthy and sometimes harmful for you. And what I figured out while being in the same situation, where I have my own tendencies, I have my own vices, I have my own urges that are not necessarily helpful for me and may harm me in certain ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I I tend to keep myself busy whenever my mind would ramble on or would be this cluster of thoughts that are very intrusive and very violent and very resentful and just filled with a lot of negative emotions. I tend to keep myself busy by doing or partaking in activities that are otherwise known as productive instead of harmful and wasteful of time and energy. In terms, eh, for example, instead of, uh, mindlessly scrolling on TikTok, which I believe we all do, and I'm guilty of that as well, or any other social media platform or any other entertainment platform and just binge watching show after show, video after video, i tend to I tend to instead write. As you all know, I create content such as this, the podcast, the short films, and so on. And I also uh, watch podcasts about different insightful ideas. My one of my other interests is outside for content creation and talks and the creative aspect is psychology. So I found myself listening to podcasts of different psychologists and learning about different insights on mental illnesses, how the brain works, how different tendencies can or different lifestyles can impact the way we think and our mindset and so on, which is somewhat which is what somewhat inspired this talk today, because I found myself that it's a force of habit sometimes because I tend to also uh, come across certain videos that talked about, finding it hard to sit still. And I did make a talk about that previously as well, where when you sit still, all of these thoughts and emotions that you've been suppressing for so long just rushes up to your brain. And, you have no form of distraction or no form of thing to turn to vent it out. So you normally engage in this, self-loathing and self-degrading state where you beat yourself up mentally, physically, even emotionally, and you just downplay yourself to the lowest level, and it doesn't really help. It's more of venting out, but yes, you're letting out these emotions, but it's not doing it. It's not doing it out, doing it or letting it out in a productive way. It's more of just like a harmful way, and then it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really make you feel any better. It doesn't really add to anything in your life in terms of your growth, your mental state, your emotional state, your physical state, and your spiritual state. In fact, it degrades it even more. Like I found that with myself because the more I engage in these activities, when I would just sit still and these thoughts would ramble on, I found myself lacking in my faith. I found myself, not praying as much because I feel like I didn't deserve to speak to or to partake in the practice of prayer and talk to God. I felt like physically I was like very weak and I thought like I'm not worthy. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like going to the gym or exercising and so on. And in terms of my mental state, I feel like I'm a failure. So what's the point in learning? So it's all about, and it's all about just degrading yourself to the point where you don't even try anymore in anything and you feel like life is meaningless. And I feel like at some point it got me to a point where I was about to hurt myself physically in different ways that I possibly could. And it's really an eye opener for me because once I started partaking in these activities, whenever my mind got heavy and my chest got heavy as well, and my mind just kept racing with thoughts and emotions that could literally destroy me in and of itself, or to get me and act in ways where I wouldn't really want to, and it would make me deeply regret it. Just I found myself being in the sense of ease, and just a while ago, I actually just came from the gym, from a workout session or exercise, and I found my thoughts racing again. And then when I partake in these rigorous exercises, lifting these weights, not too heavy, but heavy for me in and of itself because I am relatively thin or slim. But yeah, it felt really painful, and I found like these thoughts just gave me strength instead. When I felt weak, these thoughts, and I couldn't lift the barbell up or the dumbbell, I felt these thoughts like rambling on, and instead it turned into fuel. It gave me strength to, it gave me an outlet in terms of putting that anger somewhere where it can be useful, which is towards my body, and making it, building it up instead of tearing it down in terms of self harming and so on and so forth. So I found that that is one good outlet to it. And the other outlet is, writing and these podcasts, just talking it out, but making it or forming it in a way where it's productive and it could help people like you guys. I'm just advising you on what are the things I've done before, and what are the things that I do now that makes it a little bit more easier for me to breathe, a little bit more easier for me to, go on with life. It's not completely easy, and it's not completely like rainbows and sunshine, but it helps me get through the day and helps me give myself a pat on the back and say that, hey, today didn't turn out so good, but you did what you said you were gonna, you did what you said you were gonna do, and you followed through with that. You worked out, you meditated, you did prayer, you followed up on your passions, and you followed through with the things you were going to do today, and that's worth some acknowledgement. So I do these things so that I can keep myself busy, try to get me to vent out whatever I'm feeling, anger, frustration, regret, in a more productive way, and could possibly help somebody out, or just, form a good thing out of it. Because, like, I feel like the more we sit still and the more we do nothing sometimes, and we have these negative thoughts, the more we are more prone to engage in activities that are appalling, that are aggressive and violent to ourselves, and if not to ourselves, possibly to others, which is not not equally as good. It's worse actually, but yeah. So I mean, I'm at the end of the day, I'm no psychologist. I'm no major or graduate in psychology or whatever, so I can't really explain, how it affects your brain, or what what really will help with that. But it's just speaking from personal experience, what helped me out in terms of that. Whenever I get overwhelmed, whenever I, go completely insane in my thoughts and emotions, I just find myself, putting away any sort of entertainment, going to a quiet place, be it walking, just to tire myself out, or, you know, getting some fresh air, or exercising, or engaging in activities where I can express myself, or just breathe, allow myself to breathe, and keep myself away from all of these things, all of these entertainment, all of these things about the world, and just, sit in my own little bubble for a while and allow myself to express myself the way I wanted to, unfiltered, unbiased, not influenced by anything. Like raw emotion, raw thoughts, and expressing them in a raw but harmless way, and a more productive way, like I said. But yeah, I mean, that's all that I have to say for the South, guys. I mean, it's really hard. I just can't imagine actually what type of, things y'all are going through, but all I can say is, just try to partake in activities that you like to do, that, certain hobbies or certain practices in terms of meditation, prayer, hobbies in terms of art or business or whatever it is that you're passionate about, you know, and learning from that, learning things on that, engaging yourself in materials that can actually give you insights on those things, and trying to make better use of your time and trying to just improve yourself altogether. That will keep your mind from, you know, or at least it won't stop those negative thoughts, but at least it will give you something to combat it. When those negative thoughts tell you you're very useless, your life is meaningless and so on, you can combat those thoughts by, saying that, hey, I may be so, but I got stuff done. I did what I have to do, and that counts for something. All right, so yeah, that's all for this talk, guys. Hope you guys took something away from this, and yeah, take care. Have a good day.